They ruled Celtic society for centuries. Kings consulted them, warriors feared them, Rome wanted them dead. The Druids, priests, judges, healers, astronomers, or were they something else entirely? Here's the problem. Almost everything we know about Druids comes from their enemies. The Romans described them as human-sacrificing savages. The Christians called them demon worshippers. The Druids themselves left no written records. So what do we actually know? What's Roman propaganda? And what secrets did the Druids take to their graves? This is the mystery of the Druids, the truth behind the myth. Before we talk about Druids, we need to talk about sources. The Druids had a strict prohibition against writing down their knowledge. Everything was memorized, everything was oral. When the last Druids died, their secrets died with them. So who tells us about the Druids? Mostly Romans, mostly enemies. Julius Caesar gives us the most detailed account in his Gallic Wars. He spent years fighting the Celts and had reason to understand them. But Caesar was also a politician. His accounts were propaganda designed to justify conquest and glorify himself. Other sources include Strabo, Diodorus Siculus, Pliny the Elder, all Greek or Roman, all outsiders. Later we get medieval Irish texts, written centuries after Christianity had replaced Druidism. These portray Druids as wizards and sorcerers, filtered through Christian mythology. This is our problem. Every source has an agenda. The Romans wanted to portray Celts as barbaric. The Christians wanted to portray pagans as evil. The Romantics wanted to portray Druids as mystical nature priests. The truth is somewhere beneath all these layers. Let's dig. According to Caesar, Celtic society had three elite classes: the warriors, the bards, and the Druids. The Druids were the highest. They served as priests, conducting religious ceremonies, communicating with the gods, overseeing sacrifices. But that was just the beginning. Druids were also judges. They settled disputes between tribes. They determined guilt and innocence. Their rulings were final. To defy a Druid was to be cut off from society entirely. They were teachers. Young nobles spent up to 20 years training under Druids, memorizing vast amounts of knowledge, laws, histories, astronomical cycles, healing arts. They were advisors. No king made major decisions without consulting his Druids. War, peace treaties all required Druidic approval. They were exempt from military service and taxation. They could travel freely between warring tribes. They met once a year in a sacred grove, possibly in what is now Chartres, France, to settle intertribal disputes and share knowledge. In other words, Druids weren't just priests. They were the intellectual elite of Celtic civilization. The lawyers, scientists, historians, and diplomats all rolled into one. That made them powerful, and that made them dangerous to Rome. What did the Druids know? This is where it gets fascinating and frustrating. They clearly had sophisticated astronomical knowledge. Celtic calendars, like the Coligny calendar found in France, show precise tracking of lunar and solar cycles, 5-year cycles, intercalary months, corrections for drift. This required centuries of careful observation and mathematical understanding. Stonehenge, built long before the Celts arrived, was later adopted by Celtic peoples. Whether Druids used it for astronomical purposes remains debated, but they certainly had the knowledge to do so. They had extensive botanical and medical knowledge. Pliny describes Druids harvesting mistletoe with golden sickles during specific lunar phases. This sounds like superstition, until you learn that mistletoe contains compounds with genuine medicinal properties. Many magical plants in Druidic tradition turn out to have real pharmaceutical effects. The Druids may have been early pharmacologists, wrapping medical knowledge in religious ritual. They had sophisticated legal traditions. Irish Brehon laws, likely descended from Druidic practice, show complex systems of compensation, contract, and property rights. These weren't primitive people. But here's what we don't know: the theology. What did the Druids actually believe? What were their creation myths, their afterlife concepts, their deepest teachings? All lost. We have fragments. We have outsider descriptions. We have guesses, but the core of Druidic knowledge died with them. Now for the uncomfortable part. Did the Druids practice human sacrifice? Roman sources say yes, emphatically. Caesar describes the wicker man, a giant figure made of wicker, filled with living humans, then set on fire as an offering to the gods. Strabo describes criminals being impaled, shot with arrows, or burned as sacrifices. Diodorus describes Druids stabbing victims and reading the future from how they fell. For centuries, scholars dismissed these accounts as propaganda. Romans sacrificed people too, in gladiatorial games, in executions. They had no moral high ground. Surely they were exaggerating to justify conquest. Then came the archaeology. Lindo Man, a body found in an English peat bog. He had been struck on the head, garroted, and had his throat cut, then placed face down in the bog. Around 2,000 years old. Similar bog bodies have been found across Celtic Europe, many showing signs of ritual killing. At Ribemont-sur-Ancre in France, archaeologists found a sanctuary containing thousands of human bones, arranged deliberately, showing signs of defleshing. The evidence suggests that yes, some form of human sacrifice did occur in Celtic society. Whether it was common or rare, whether Druids specifically performed it, whether the Roman accounts are exaggerated, we can't say for certain. But it probably wasn't pure invention. The Druids operated in a world where killing humans for religious purposes wasn't unusual. The Romans did it. The Carthaginians did it. The Greeks had done it. The Druids likely did too. Rome didn't just conquer the Celts. Rome specifically targeted the Druids for destruction. Why? The official reason was the human sacrifice. Rome had banned it and claimed moral authority to stamp it out. But Rome tolerated all kinds of brutal practices in conquered territories. This wasn't really about morality. The real reason was power. Druids were the glue that held Celtic society together. They preserved the laws, the traditions, the sense of shared identity across tribes. As long as Druids existed, Celtic resistance could reorganize. Cut off a tribe's warriors and they'd recover. Cut off their Druids and they'd lose their cultural memory. In 54 AD, Emperor Claudius officially banned Druidism. In 60 AD, the Roman governor Suetonius Paulinus attacked Anglesey, an island off Wales that was reportedly a Druid stronghold. The Roman historian Tacitus describes the scene: Druids in black robes, women with wild hair, all calling down curses on the Roman soldiers. The Romans hesitated, then attacked. The groves were cut down, the altars destroyed, the Druids massacred. Within a generation, organized Druidism was effectively dead. Some knowledge survived in Ireland, which Rome never conquered. Echoes persisted in folklore, in place names, in customs the people no longer understood. But the Druids as a functioning institution were gone. Their secrets went with them. In the 17th and 18th centuries, something strange happened. The Druids came back, sort of. Romantic scholars became fascinated with Celtic history. They imagined Druids as noble nature priests, repositories of ancient wisdom, builders of Stonehenge. Most of this was fantasy. Stonehenge predates the Celts by over 1,000 years. The ancient Druidic teachings that appeared in books were modern inventions, but the appeal was powerful. Today, Neo-Druidism is a recognized religion. Thousands of people identify as Druids. They gather at Stonehenge for solstices. They conduct ceremonies based on what little we know of Celtic practice, supplemented with modern spiritual traditions. Is this authentic? Not really. The chain of transmission was broken centuries ago. Is it meaningful? That's for practitioners to decide. The Druids have become a symbol of lost wisdom, of connection to nature, of an alternative to modern life. The real Druids were probably more complicated: scholars and sacrificers, healers and judges, humans with all the contradictions that implies. But we'll never fully know. The Druids kept no written records. Their enemies wrote their history. And when the last Druid died, everything they knew, the astronomy, the medicine, the theology, the secrets, vanished. We're left with fragments, Roman propaganda, archaeological traces, medieval echoes, enough to know they were remarkable, not enough to truly understand them. Were they enlightened sages or bloody priests? Probably both. Humans are complicated. Did they possess lost knowledge that could change our world? Probably not. But we'll never know for sure. What we do know is that an entire intellectual tradition, centuries of accumulated wisdom, was deliberately destroyed. And that loss is real. If mysteries like this fascinate you, subscribe. There are more secrets buried in history, waiting to be uncovered. See you in the next one.